This is Disney World, a place where you can leave your car behind and walk along tree-lined streets with cafes, restaurants, rides, and shows, without a worry of getting hit by a car while doing so. And in a country full of parking lots, wide roads, and car-first everything, it's honestly pretty out of place. Which got me thinking, what if we fix that? What if we used the same design principles that are used to design the rest of the country to redesign Disney World? And I can already tell we're going to need more lanes, parking lots, drive-thrus, and destroying some childhood memories to make this work. Let's get started. We'll start with Magic Kingdom. It's arguably the most iconic one with some of the most recognizable theme park attractions in the world. There's the castle, Space Mountain, and of course, Main Street USA. The thing is, while Main Street is beautiful, if we're going to turn Magic Kingdom into a place for cars, it's going to need some changes. The problem here is that Main Street is the only way in and out of the park. You can already see how busy it gets with people walking, but once we open up the space to cars, it's going to become an instant traffic jam. Cars take up way more space than people walking, so we're going to need to find the space to accommodate them. To do so, we'll move over the buildings, giving us more space to increase traffic capacity through this main bottleneck. We'll do 3 lanes in each direction, along with a lane on each side for parked cars. A road this size should help with the traffic flow, but now it's terrifying to cross the street. That's okay though, because we can add some crosswalks to give people a place to cross. But the issue is, even with crosswalks, nothing is forcing vehicles to actually stop. Ideally, we could add some traffic signals here to make it a safer crossing, but that would hurt the flow of traffic every time someone wants to cross. That's why the US has created guidelines for when you're allowed to install a traffic signal for pedestrians. There has to be a minimum number of pedestrians that use the crosswalk in order to justify the delay for drivers that a traffic signal would cause by letting people cross safely. But unfortunately, too many people were scared to use this crosswalk without a signal, so the data doesn't support adding a signal. So the brave ones can risk the crosswalks, or they can drive across the street if they need to get over to that side of the street. That is, if they're lucky enough to find a parking spot. We did add on-street parking, but it's always taken since people want to get to these shops. So we need to create more parking spaces, and we've got some space up here to do so. We'll turn all of this into parking, which adds 72 spots. This definitely helps, but legally it's still not enough. The thing is, these buildings have about 50,000 square feet of retail space, and if we look at the county's ordinance of minimum number of parking spaces required for 50,000 square feet of retail space, it means we'd need to have 275 parking spaces, and that's just for these buildings. These buildings over here are going to require even more parking, so we'll sacrifice these buildings in order to build more parking. We're still 27 spaces short, but we can find some room further up. We also need to figure out what to do with the road itself. This is the point where you branch off to different sections of the park, so we need to create a way to distribute all of this traffic. With it already being a circle, let's make it a roundabout, which will help to make sure all of the vehicles stay moving efficiently. We'll add some signs as well to make sure people know where to go. We can fill in the rest of the space around it to get those extra parking spaces. So far, this is looking great. We have a strong start to make sure we won't have any traffic backups and plenty of places for people to park. Let's keep going over to Tomorrowland. Space Mountain is the star of the show over here, and we need to make sure that it's convenient for people to get to it. Unfortunately, that means we'll have to make some space to do so. Right away, I noticed that this land is filled with these support structures for the Tomorrowland People Mover. These are definitely going to get in the way of building a road through here though, so let's get rid of it. After all, it's designed as an urban mass transit system of the future, and we're trying to build like the rest of the country. We don't have urban mass transit systems of the future here. With that out of the way, we can extend the road and add some parking for Space Mountain, because it'll definitely need it. But the question is, will it be enough? People riding the Carousel of Progress or going to the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor show are going to need a place to park too. Just to be safe, we should probably add some more. And moving further up to where the Tomorrowland Speedway is looks like a perfect place. I don't really think we'll need it anymore, as the entire park will kind of feel like a speedway now, so keeping it feels a bit redundant. Instead, it can become a big new parking lot. I'd say we're making great progress so far. We've removed rides, cleared out hundreds of trees, and made the park more dangerous for pedestrians in the process. It's really starting to feel like the real America. But we're not done yet. Let's head over to Haunted Mansion, because we're going to turn this into something even scarier. Imagine you're riding along only to find ghosts with all of your personal data floating around. Then you watch as data brokers snatch up these ghosts to do who knows what with your personal information. Pretty scary, right? Except, unlike Haunted Mansion, these ghosts are real and they're all over the internet exposing your personal information publicly online. Thankfully, this is where Incogni comes in. Think of it as a ghostbuster that will find and remove any of these ghosts. If you're wondering why you keep getting spam emails telling you that you want a free trip to Disney World, it's because your information was snatched up by data brokers, and while these emails might seem annoying at most, it means that your data is out there just waiting to get into the wrong hands. It goes further than just your email address too. Your home address, phone number, and even lists of your relatives can all be out there floating around online. Try searching for your name and you'll probably be pretty spooked at what you can find. I know I was. I figured I would be good since I use a VPN, but a VPN only hides your information right now. It doesn't actively search for and remove it like Incogni does. They've already scanned hundreds of sites for my data and removed it. They do this continuously too. So if more of these data ghosts show up, they're on it. Without Incogni, I would have had to spend over 100 hours hunting down my data and asking sites to delete it one at a time. If you do ever come across a site with your information, with the custom removals feature, you just submit the link and they take care of it. So if you're ready to do an exorcism on the ghosts of your personal information online, go to incogni.com/streetcraft or click the link in the description to get 60% off an annual plan and take back control over your personal data. I think we've done enough damage to Magic Kingdom at this point, so let's move over to Hollywood Studios. The cool thing about Hollywood Studios is that it captures the magic of being in Hollywood, but it doesn't actually give you the full experience because there's one thing that's clearly missing here: highways. The lack of the 101 running right down the middle of the park is really taking away from the immersive Hollywood experience, so let's change that. Not only will this make the experience more Hollywood authentic, but it'll be great for cars to easily get through the park. Luckily for us, the park is already surrounded by highways, so it'll be easy to reroute them directly through the park instead. We'll change it to run right through here like so, and can even connect in with the existing interchange over here. Now we've got direct highway access to the core of the park, perfect for ensuring it's easy to get to. But we also need streets inside the park, along with some exit ramps and overpasses so people can get to the attractions that weren't demolished to make room for the highway. We've got exits for Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge, and even Hollywood Boulevard, which is already a street, which works out perfectly. The one lane in each direction might cause some slowdowns, but after we basically destroyed the character of Magic Kingdom's main street, I think we should probably let this one stay as is. After all, we're going for an authentic Hollywood experience, so sitting in traffic would really add to that. However, over at Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, we should probably add some parking as these are some pretty major attractions. Thankfully, there's quite a bit of green space to do so, which will get us a decent amount of parking spaces. Over on the other side of the park, Galaxy's Edge already has a ton of parking nearby, but sadly it's all on the back side of the attraction, and it would be pretty inconvenient for people to have to park in the back and walk all the way around. If we're already adding a highway through the park, we could probably get the construction crew to rotate the buildings to face the parking lot instead. After all, this is the American way. Why have human scale storefronts when you can put a parking lot in front instead? And finally, because it's funny, but Toy Story Land needs a gas station and it needs to be this one. Overall, I think these changes really give Hollywood Studios a more authentic Hollywood feel, complete with highway ramps and overpasses. It almost comes naturally. But what about Animal Kingdom? I mean, this place is a peaceful oasis away from the big city. It's full of plants and animals and natural life. Animal Kingdom is no place for cars, right? That's what you might think, but a huge part of this park is basically asking to become a drive-through attraction. Yes, I'm talking about the Kilimanjaro Safaris, now to be rebranded as Kilimanjaro Safaris Drive-Through Adventure. Of course, if you've ever been on this experience, you know the path is a bit rough at times. And as exciting as that is, I'm not sure if your great aunt's Ford Focus would enjoy it too much. So instead, we're making sure the whole thing is smoothly paved so everyone can get through without trouble. Well, the cars at least. The constant line of traffic might make it a little difficult for the animals to cross, but I'm sure they'll find a way. It's not like we're walling them off or anything. The guests will love the immersive experience of seeing a giraffe in the distance blocked by a Chevy Suburban and the sound of everyone's air conditioning on full blast. Of course, with this being a drive-through experience, the regular queue isn't gonna work, so we'll have to modify it for cars. We'll create a bunch of lanes where cars can line up and get released in batches. This will require a lot of space, but we wouldn't want all the cars waiting to get backed up into the streets. Sometimes popular drive-thrus just need to take up tons of land to let cars wait. Now, I should probably move on to Epcot before I destroy the rest of the park, but I'm just curious what this would look like because we definitely would need to add parking somewhere. Okay, yeah, there we go. The Tree of Life is still here, she just looks a little different now, and she's serving a whole new purpose. So multifunctional. Last but not least, let's see what we can do to Epcot. Let's start with the World Showcase. Now, the World Showcase was designed as a celebration of global cultures, a walkable journey through art, architecture, and cuisine. But we aren't building walkable, we're building drivable. And nothing says drivable like generic American chain restaurant drive-thrus. And what better use of space than to give the guests a curated sample of everything corporate America thinks counts as culture. It'll be like a generic American highway exit, but in one convenient circle instead. The footprint of fast food restaurants is also surprisingly large. So unfortunately, it did require removing all of the existing shops, buildings, and rides around the entire World Showcase to fit these drive-thrus and the road. But now you don't have to walk, and you can get a consistent, predictable eating experience. But we have to have some rides still, and I think Test Track is the obvious choice to retrofit. At the new Test Track, you'll bring your own car, and instead of testing the car, you'll test your driving skills. But we need something a little more interesting than just this little out and back. So let's extend it and implement all of the latest and greatest road designs popping up all over the country. We're talking about multi-lane roundabouts, diverging diamond interchanges, and even continuous flow intersections. Not only will this be a thrilling and exciting ride, but it'll also help teach drivers from all over the world about modern American traffic engineering. The final test will be seeing if you know what to do at a hawk signal, and anyone that doesn't hit a pedestrian in the process wins a $10 gift card to the gift shop at the exit. At this point, I think we've done enough damage to the parks, and if you're devastated by these changes, it's no surprise. We took a place where people enjoy being, a place where the air isn't filled with emissions or the sound of engines, a place with unique architecture and shops, a place where people feel safe getting around by walking, and turned it into, well, not that. And this whole video seems ridiculous, but this is exactly what's happened to our real-life places where people live their lives. We've built highways through neighborhoods. We've destroyed local businesses for drive-through chain restaurants. We've eliminated public transportation for highways. We've made it more dangerous for people to walk. And we've hurt the character of our towns and cities in the process. America didn't always look like this. People didn't have to go on vacation to walkable places because they had them in their own communities. But just because America looks like this now doesn't mean it has to look like this forever. It changed before, and it's possible to change again. And while it might seem like a big feat, it's already happening. Underutilized highways are turning into city streets. Empty strip malls are turning into walkable community spaces, and even some suburbs are rethinking how they want to look. If you need essentially the opposite of this video and want to see how it's possible to change for the better, check out this video next.